This is a small town in Norway, Larvik, and this is a huge development area. That is the old town. And when we dealt with that one, we had to take all the streets from the old town and bring them into the new town. Each and every one. This was former an industrial area. We would preserve some of the buildings and we would tear down some of them. This was the ferry terminal in the small town. We had to remove it and regain the area for the city itself. This is the site for several of the most important buildings of the new town, and it contains the menu of several very, very important buildings for the new town. In a way, we created a menu, and we wanted to have the public buildings as anchor tenants in the new situation. And I think that's absolutely necessary. You cannot make a big development in any town without inviting public buildings to be part of it. And that goes for Kaunas as well. It is, in a way, we work like you do when you are doing shopping malls. You try to figure out which element in the town needs to be where. Then how to play with the water. In Norway we have a tradition for filtering the land and the water together. When you deal with a river like here, you have another problem, but you need to achieve an intimacy, an intimate relation between the water and the land. Otherwise, the water will be lost. It will just be a flow running past without any kind of giving life to the public. And the same thing with the river, which was part of this new development. We tried to use it extensively, every meter of it, so that the town could meet the water in many, many different ways. This is how we did it: the channel, the water routes, the old rivers, and new development coming out and stretching out into the water. The water is a tremendous source of joy and beauty, and it can be seen in many, many different ways: raining, snowing, wind blowing, etc. The cultural house, which we are due to open in a week, sits on the old quay. It sits right into the water, and it opens up to the fjord. And I think that public life in Kaunas should be allowed to come right down to the water. I know that the other river is a bit more difficult because you have a steep hill on the other side. On this one, the river out here, you have another, totally other landscaping possibility to achieve a public park, public walkway. The intimacy, the intimate relation between what's going on the land and on the sea is extremely important, so that everybody can enjoy the quality of the water. The next theme is the plazas, the streets, and loyal buildings to form the public places. Architects nowadays, they tend to build buildings instead of building cities or towns. And this is what we are looking for. This kind of life is what we are looking for in our cities. All over Europe, the architects are quite pompous, and they really want to build the highest and the most brave and the most fantastic building ever built, instead of trying to formulate a withdrawn quality where we have loyal buildings standing one by the other to form streets and plazas. And I'm always looking back to this plan of Rome because it's so relevant in our days. When we are doing town planning, we are looking at the streets as interiors, the plazas as malls, and we try to do the same thing when we are doing big buildings. We look at the big buildings as part of the town, and the town as part of a big building. You always have a hierarchy of plazas, and in Carnassium, of course, you have the big, maybe much too big, major plaza here. It feels very empty today. And then you have a sequence of smaller plazas coming, the one after the other. And our forefathers, in a way, they started with giving form to the plazas. They started with the plazas and the public rooms instead of starting with the buildings. And hence, the quality of these urban spaces is much higher normally than what we are able to achieve today. Every small plaza is celebrated by a public building, and I think that's a very good rule. It's a good thing to do in a way, to enhance the quality of the public building by celebrating it with a plaza around it. And in a small town like Kaunas, I think the plazas should be consequently quite small. This is a project we did some years ago, in Oslo, and there we established the typical section you should work with in a city. And that's a very complicated section. In the basement you have a nightclub. On the street level you have shops and kindergartens. In the upper floors you have offices, and on the top you have residential. And when you are doing this, you are at the same time you are inviting lots of actors to your plazas. You will have a mix of people varying from a small little kid here up to tourists, people working, people living, and people just coming to town just to explore what's going on. And that is the quality of the urban situation. This is what we like to do when we come to the city, when we come to the town. It's as simple as that. We would like to come there just to come there, not because we want to buy something or whatever. Then you have the street theatre, which is a logical part of that kind of activity. When you invite everybody, this will happen in your streets. This is a building we did in Stockholm some years ago. It's a headquarters building. And we look at, as I said, the interior quality of buildings, the same way as we look at the quality of the streetscape, of the fabric of the town, which I think is more than relevant. You have the floor, you have the walls, and you have the menu in the walls. You have meeting rooms and bridges and everything you need. This is a shopping mall, and in a way, I would like a piece of town like the one you are dealing with in Kaunas to look like, not the shopping mall of course, but to have the same tendency of anchor tenants, so that you have some kind of loop. You are walking from interesting point to the other, and you are forced in a way to use the whole of the city. And when you include the old town in that, you have a walkway from the one river to the other, which is very attractive and which can be quite unique in my view, because there are not so many towns that have those two rivers. But it has to be looked upon as with the same eyes as the businessman looking at the shopping mall.